Great Lakes Prepping here with your prepper report for the week of January 10th, 2021. Well, normally we start off these reports by taking a look at what's been in the news lately, but nothing notable has happened in the last week. Unless you've been living in a literal bunker for the last week, you've undoubtedly heard about the events at the United States Capitol building on January 6th. In what is being called a protest, a riot, or an insurrection attempt, depending on who you ask, congressional proceedings in which the electoral votes from the 2020 presidential election were to be officially confirmed were temporarily disrupted when hundreds of people forced past police barriers, rushing the Capitol building. As people marched throughout the woefully underdefended Capitol building, various groups were heard calling for specific politicians to be produced, presumably to face some version of mob justice for perceived offenses. I think it's safe to say that no matter what your personal politics or whether or not you're a supporter of our current president, this entire thing was an absolute train wreck. 5 people are dead, including a police officer who was dragged into a mob and beaten to death. Our Capitol building is ransacked, people were terrorized, and the implications of these events are disturbing on every level. We're sure to see fallout from that day for years to come, and not just for those who've been and who will be arrested for their role in it. Think about the new legislation that's bound to result from this. After 9/11, the Patriot Act made it okay to dance all over our 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Amendments. And once again, the actions of a few people are sure to inspire long-lasting and far-reaching new restrictions for all of us in the name of security. Political preferences aside, the entire thing is a disgrace to our democracy and a slap in the face to every American who will now suffer because of it, not to mention the people who died during it. No cause was furthered, no objective was achieved. That's all I'm going to say about it. Besides for that whole thing, what other news is there to even talk about? More demonstrations and potential violence is being predicted and or expected in several cities around the country. In Washington state, they've already activated the National Guard to protect the Capitol, with other states likely to follow suit. If you're a prepper, you're thinking about how to deal with potential civil unrest in your area. You're not thinking about how to help cause civil unrest. I'm just thankful to not be located in or near a dense city, let alone a state capital. If you are located in a dense city or a state capital, you ought to think about avoiding problem areas in your town. Should demonstrations or violence break out, think about where not to be. Just like with all of the BLM protests last year, unless you're driving or walking pretty much right into the belly of the beast, you're likely to be just fine. As with most things, if you don't go looking for trouble, you're not going to find trouble. Okay, so what's going on with the supply chain? I've been reading about a few car manufacturers who are reducing output or full-on shutting down plants because of a major shortage of certain chips that are used by various electronic components of the vehicles. So far, it seems to be affecting Ford, Toyota, Nissan, Chrysler, and Honda. A Toyota spokesperson has said that they expect that this could easily last until springtime. So I guess if you've had your eye on a specific new car, you might want to look into this a little further and maybe jump on that sooner rather than later. I'm also seeing reports of Amazon's Prime Pantry service being discontinued. Though looking a little deeper into this, it seems that Amazon is working on maybe phasing out the pantry service and directing customers instead to their newer Amazon grocery service. I'm not terribly familiar with the finer details of either of these Amazon services, but if you use Pantry, you may want to look into this further and see how it may affect you. And just like we saw last year, albeit not until April or May, I guess, seed suppliers are dealing with enormous backlogs, running out of stock, and just dealing with a general frenzy of orders. If you buy your heirloom seeds online every year, you may want to start keeping an eye out. Your favorite supplier might already be facing shortages or unmanageable backlogs. Let's talk about some good deals I've seen over the last week. First, we have a 7-gallon rigid water container for $15. Think one of those sort of great big blue water jugs that you might take camping with the handle on it. This doesn't appear to be on sale per se, but I have a few of these and I seem to remember paying over $20 for them. So $15, pretty good price. And I will say I love these containers, but they are pretty heavy when full. So if you can't lift and move around about 60 pounds, this may not be the water container for you. And this next one isn't necessarily cheaper than usual or expected, but we have 2 4-ounce jars of Fleishmann's active dry yeast for just under $12. That equals 32 of the little packets of yeast. Since a lot of stores still don't seem to have yeast in stock, this is a good option, and it's a decent price. It definitely doesn't reflect some of the gouging that I saw last year. And lastly, we have a Gerber titanium multi-tool for $30. I have one that's not this exact model, but is very similar to this model that I've had for a few years, and I'm pretty happy with it. You can definitely spend more than $30 on a good multi-tool, but if you only have $30 to spend, this is probably a good option. And as always, I'll put the links to these in the video description if you want to check them out. Now for this week's prepper challenge. This week's challenge, look at your socks. That's right, I said socks. Do a sock inventory. I can go a long time without thinking one bit about this thing that I use and rely on every day. Until, of course, the day comes that I realize all my socks are worn out or have holes in them, and for whatever reason, a fair percentage of them seem to be just plain missing. So check out your sock situation and when you ought to think about replacing them. I'll end up doing a full purge about every year or so on my regular day-to-day socks. Socks are pretty cheap, considering that you use them every single day, and there's nothing quite as satisfying as putting on a brand new pair. So treat yourself. Skip buying that extra gizmo or gadget for a week, and sock up. And that's it. This has been your prepper report for the week of January 10th, 2021. And as always, we'll end this video with a little something to wash the taste out of our mouths. That's right, dog videos. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe and stay up to date on all our latest prepper reports and other videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay prepared, and stay vigilant.